Okay, so I'd like to make a video going over the last couple FRQs we did. If you want to see the questions or more questions, you just type in APCSA released FRQ, you get all the past exams. I know at least the last few years follow the same format, and this is from 2022. So if you want to follow along with the questions, you go APCSA, blah, blah, blah. And we did questions 3 and 4 here. So we did this class here that deals with the review class, and then we're writing some stuff for review analysis. And then we did the data one. Again, you know, if you want to just kind of do more of these and follow along, the scoring is all here, so you can see like sample responses. You can see kind of how they score. We'll take a look at that in a second too. But anyways, let's start out with review analysis. So it kind of builds off this review class, because in review analysis you're going to have this array, not an array list, called all reviews. And I think our first method here is we are going to write a method called get average rating. Average rating of all these guys. We don't have to worry about anything in the array being null, which is good. So let's write this public double get average. So, I mean, you just kind of have to know what you have and what you're working with. So you're dealing with this array of reviews, right, called all reviews. And this is just going to be a classic algorithm. Like, how do you keep track of the average of something, right? So you have to calculate the sum, right, add up all the values, and then divide by the number of values, right? That's what we're going to do. So, how do we keep track of the total? I'm going to make a double total, and I'll make it equal 0. I could say 0.0. But anyways, this is going to be important. And one little trick, I mean, it doesn't have to be a double here. It could be an int, right? Because these are going to be ints that we get back from the rating of each of the reviews. But at the end of the day, if I divide an int by an int, I'm going to get an int, and I want to get a double back. So I need at least one of my values, either the total or the count, to be a double in order to get a double back. So that could be a little trickeroosky there for some people, but hopefully you realize that. So anyways, I'm just going to iterate through all of my reviews. So I'm going to say review R in all reviews, which is my list of reviews. And then I'm going to say total plus equals the value, right, of each review, so or the rating, I guess. So I have to say R dot, and then look at the methods in there, and sure enough, there's a get rating. Once again, that returns an int, but because it's a double, total is a double, total is still going to be a double going forward. So that gives me a total. And then I could have a variable, maybe a counting variable, to see how many items I have in all reviews, but I think we could just use the length method here too. So if I say total divided by all reviews dot length, right? That's however many things there are in there. And again, a precondition was that none of these things was going to be null. So that should be pretty good. I'm just calculating the average. Yeah. So there's, I mean, you know, that's the classic here too. Is the actual code or whatever is not super complex or super hard to read or write, but you kind of have to read the question pretty good and understand, you know, the moving pieces, you know, what all reviews is. It's an array of reviews, and then how do you get the value of rating from each review, right? The next one is kind of a little trickier. So we're going to build an array list. We want to turn an array list of strings for reviews that contain an exclamation mark. And then we want to build a review in a certain way, so that's a little tricky there. But so first of all, the signature looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to return an array list. Return an array list. So let's make an array list that we're eventually going to return. Call it whatever you want. So it should look something like this, right? So now I have to be able to go find the reviews that contain an exclamation point. So in Python, we probably use a method like contains, something like that. But here we don't have such a thing. But this is where you kind of want to understand how to use the index of to see if an element exists in a string. Because if the element doesn't exist in a string, then it will return -1, right? So it's kind of like going to tell us if it's there or not, right? So let's try to do this. Let's say string review, and I'm going to iterate through I don't know if I need that kind of iteration, but I feel like I want to use it for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to say review is equal to all reviews index I. Now, if I were to say that, right, I would be getting a review back, right? But I want sort of the comment that goes with the review. So I'm going to say dot get comment would be my guess. Yeah, get comment. So now I have a string which has the comment. Now let's see if there is an exclamation point in there. So if review.index of, and I'm going to put an exclamation point in there. Right. So if that is not equal to -1, or some people like to say if it's greater than 0, I guess greater equal to 0, because 0 would be the first spot. But anyways, if it's not equal to -1, that means we do have an exclamation point in the string. Now here's where it gets a little tricky, because we want to add a period. We also want to add the location, I guess, of where this review was, then a hyphen, then the comment, and then if there's not a period, exclamation point at the end of the comment, we want to put a period there. So if the exclamation point is somewhere else, we're going to put a period. If the exclamation point is at the end, we're going to leave it there. So that's a little tricky. There's a lot of little moving parts here, right? And ultimately, the way I would see that, we're going to have to build a new string. So I'm going to say string result. Okay. So what am I going to put on this string? Well, first things first is I am supposed to put the location, right? So the location is I, right? Plus I'll go ahead and throw the hyphen in there, right? And then I'm going to put the comment in there. Ooh, I'm going to keep using the comment. So that's review at this point, right? All right. What do you think? What do you think? Like it or love it? So I feel like that gives me everything, really. And then I have to see whether or not there's an exclamation point at the end. So if review dot substring, and I want to check the last letter here, so that's going to be the length of the review -1. And the way substring works is if you just put in one value, it's going to go from there all the way to the end. So by putting the last spot in there, and then say go all the way to the end, we're just going to get the last letter, right? So if that is equal to, oh no, not double equals, you're silly. Dot equals this guy. Be careful anytime comparing strings, you have to use dot equals or you will be marked down on this, okay? So if it equals an exclamation point, I can just go ahead and add that result to my array list. So r.add result, right? Or actually I can put that later. Yeah, no, fine. Now, if it's not ending with an exclamation point, that means we want to put a period there. So I'm going to say result plus equals period. Then I'm going to add it to result. Okay. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. So let's talk about this again. So I am going to get the comment, right, from each spot in the all reviews array, right? I'm going to check to see if there's an exclamation point in there. If there is, then I'm going to build a new string where I put the location that it exists in the all review array plus a hyphen plus the actual review or comment, whatever. Yeah, maybe I should have called this comment. Comment would probably be a better variable, whatever. Then I'm going to see if the last letter there is an exclamation point. If it is, it's good to go, and I can just put it into my array list. Otherwise, I need to put a period there. Then I can put in my array list, and then down here, then I can just return my array list. So this is interesting. It's kind of a lot of little sort of side cases, edge cases to this one. But I feel pretty good about it. Let's take a look. Okay, so looking at their get average rating, they just made an int and then added all the values to sum, same thing, right? And then they typecast sum to be a double in this sort of calculating the average thing. So yeah, either make it a double to begin with or typecast it to be a double, but one of those two values has to be a double. Otherwise, you get an int divided by an int, which will truncate the value and return an int, and we want to be returning a double. Okay, so here they are doing their thing. They make an array list, right? They're going to iterate through all the reviews. They do create a string to store the comment. I feel like we did the same thing. I feel like we did. They're saying greater or equal to 0 to say that it exists, right? And then again, they're creating a string here. They're creating a string. I created an empty string, I guess, and then added to it, but they're just creating a string, which is the last letter, I guess. and saying if it doesn't equal an exclamation point, oh, and it doesn't equal a period. Ooh, that's probably a good one too. If it's already a period, I'm adding a period there, right? So I left that out. So yeah, they just kind of put the period there, took care of the period before they added to it. I kind of had that redundant adding, so mine's a little less pretty. But I didn't check to see if it already had a period in it. So in mine, so I'm saying if it equals period, that's a little gross, huh? I guess the way I'm saying it, yeah, because you actually have to check that last letter twice. So I would have to say something like and or. Oh no, wait. I'm saying if it does equal period there. Okay. So here, I would really need something like an else if.
All the other
I would have to say not equals a period. So I have to say it doesn't equal a period, and then else.
Oh shoot!
So in this case, if I finally get down here, it means it didn't have an exclamation point at the end, but it did have a period at the end. So I guess I could have changed that to say if it did have a period, just go ahead and add it. If it didn't, then add it, whatever. Kind of gross, a little bit of redundancy, and that's why this solution is a little better. But again, this is one here where they're kind of seeing like they have their solution. This solution has a better overall understanding of what they're trying to accomplish at the end, so they're setting everything up better. This is where I think typing it in for you guys is going to be a lot nicer than having to write it out. Because if you write it out and you realize, oh, I kind of forgot this case, or like I didn't deal with this, what are you going to do? Like erase it all, start all over again. Whereas, here we can delete some things, or copy paste a couple things in to kind of take care of those cases. But yeah, so that would be my collective comments. Something like this, right? Something like this.
Bro, at this point, when I get 70 I'm happy. I'm so happy.
Okay,